You're listening to Cash and Sass. I'm Lisa Marie, your go-to gal for all things money. As the Sassy Wealth Queen and the brains behind the Sassy Wealth Coach, I'm here to take you on a thrilling ride from the financial chaos to sassy and sexy money. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Cash and Sass. I'm Lisa Marie, your host and the Sassy Wealth Queen, the brains behind this podcast, and of course, the Sassy Wealth Coach. And today with me, I have Jasper, oh my goodness, Smith. I knew it was simple. I'm so sorry. I have Jasper Smith with me today as a guest on my show, and he has been involved in the financial services arena for over 15 years. He's the chief visionary behind a financial education company called the Build Wealth Movement. He works tirelessly to disrupt generational property for everyone so their kids' can live life of privilege, which I absolutely love because that is creating generational wealth and being truly wealthy, which I believe is, of course, being wealthy, as everyone who listens to my show knows, I consider being wealthy more than money. It's changing, basically ending things and changing how we look at things, especially money, and making sure it's aligned with our goals and all. And today, what we're going to talk about is, which I also think is just really, really important, is one of the things that Jasper has said is that once he fully committed to a financial plan, he alleviated a lot of stress. And so, Jasper, I really would like us to go into that, what that actually meant for you, what that looked like, what kind of stress were you under before. I just want to dive into that part because I really think it's important for people, especially the ones that are listening, to understand that having a money roadmap, a financial plan, budget, whatever it is you want to call it, doesn't have to be restrictive.
Not at all. And what I probably should add to that is that your plan needs to be unique to you. I think with all of our collective financial experts, like everybody's got their thing. Like, you should do my program, this strategy. Look, find the strategy that works. So if my financial plan is 2 bullet points on a napkin and I get success, that was a pretty good plan. That was a great plan. If my financial plan needs to be a 70-page document with charts and graphs and analyses, and that works for you, that's a good plan. I think that's the hard part about what we do as practitioners is, for me, it was like, I got to find what works for me. And I'll be totally honest. I suck at budgeting. Always have, always will. But here's what I did. I figured out a strategy that worked for me. And so I did the envelope system, the all cash. Like, if they had a program around budgeting, I tried it just to see if it'll work. And literally, the industry, in our industry, has done a horrible job of just giving you that one spreadsheet or document or PDF, say, fill this out for the month. That one pager never spoke to me.
That doesn't work. And there's a reason it does not work.
Agreed.
And I will go to the grave saying that. And
I'm with you.
It doesn't work. And the reason why it doesn't work is people go, oh, well, it lists everything. Yeah. It says how much is your health insurance or how much is your car insurance. And it even asks how much your property taxes are. How often do you pay your property taxes? Once a year.
Once a year, right.
And then they look at me and they go, oh. I said, it tells you to list it, but it doesn't tell you or teach you how to actually take that yearly amount and actually do something with it so that you have that money come the time when it's due. Yeah. It just tells you to list it. Listing it on the form or spreadsheet does absolutely nothing.
Ooh, I struck a nerve because that's how I felt probably a couple of years into like being a financial planner. And I would always, again, I was trained, give your client the budget worksheet, have them fill it out. And certain clients, if they weren't like the engineer, finance type of mind, or, a certain type of brain likes that document. And for those people, it is a phenomenal tool. For the other 95% of us, it was just a piece of paper that I wasn't going to do. And I would find clients who would come to me and say, well, I just found it a little challenging. I'm like, well, if you don't do that, I can't work with you. And I used to just cut people off, not thinking, oh God, I got to deal with financial anxiety and trauma and family life. And it's more than just that piece of paper. And I think for me, that's what I realized, that I was in the same boat as some of the people I was working with. And I said, if I'm telling them that they need to have all these components, well, I need to be doing pretty good with all of them as
Utilizing
well.
them.
Yeah, of
Yeah.
course. And I felt hypocritical. And I'm like, I was living a lie in my early 20s. I was like, I'm gonna sell stuff and I think you got enough money. I didn't sell the wrong products. It was just I wasn't as thorough as I am now. And so I kind of, I did the activity. You look yourself in the mirror. Like, do I like what I see? And everybody should do that with their financial plan, however simple or
Mm.
complex it may be. Just say, do you like the results that you were getting? And mine was a no. So I figured out the budget piece. And the budget piece for me is I understand what I spend my money on. That is my
Oh,
budget.
you're the
That's it.
second person. Yes, yes,
That's it.
yes.
Forget all this. Here's what I made. Here, how much do I spend? Let's start there.
And where?
Hey, now we're talking. Now we're doing planning, right? Now we're getting through to, oh, this is
And
why you don't have any
where?
money.
Right. Cause I want everyone to hear this. I understand some people are on a fixed income,
Yes.
and then there's those of us that have entrepreneurship. But honest to goodness, when I have people come to me and they go, okay, I want to be able to make more money because I'm not having enough. Okay, well, where's your money going? I don't know. I just need to make more money. No. And I sound like I
Yes.
sound like a
Yeah.
temper tantrum when I say that, but I'm like, no. The first
Yeah.
thing we need to do is we need to see where your money is going. And the reason why is just like he said, because now we see what the spending is. And actually, we are then able to come up with a plan because then we can go, oh, do and again, there's no judgment. I have clients who have come to me and they think there's no judgment. If you want to spend $600 on out to eat, great. More power to you. But then it goes in your financial plan. However,
Yes.
majority of the people who come to me, when I have them do what I call it a deep dive reality check, and I still do a quarterly reality check in my bank account. It's something I will always do because, hello, life happens, and sometimes we get kicked off our little
Yep.
train track.
Agreed.
Um, but I have them and when I have them do that reality check, and I have them break it down into 3 different areas, because the main areas, there'll be some other miscellaneous, but the main areas
Mhm.
is out to eat, gas, groceries, and then, like, for whatever frivolous spending. And if there's something else, then we add it. But those are the main ones.
Yeah.
Majority of the time, when they come back, they're like, "Holy, I didn't know." And I didn't realize. Okay, great. Now you know. How much are you wanting to spend? And they're like, "You're not gonna make me cut it out?"
No,
No.
no, no. I'm with you. It is so. It
Making it restrictive does not
doesn't help.
work.
No,
It's
no.
just like someone telling you to cut out all your sugar on a diet or cut out all your fat. And this shows my
Right.
age, but I don't know. I don't know how old you are, so I'm going to say it. If you remember butter buds, you were supposed to cut out all the butter and use these butter flakes, which was the most disgusting thing in the world. But everybody did it because she was talking about
Yeah.
the inner thighs touching each other, and none of us women liked it. And so we were going to cut out all fat, which meant all butter because butter's made of fat. Majority, I think all of us, failed miserably, okay? Because you're supposed to have moderations of
Yes.
those things. And the reason why I'm comparing that is the same thing with our money. If you're not spending money on some of the things you enjoy, you're going to get very resentful. Trust me, I've been there, I've lived it.
Agreed. I second that. Life
And it's
sucks.
not good.
Life,
It's not good when you get resentful, because then you can go, if you're me, female, and like me, you go on an emotional spending splurge, and that ends up really bad too.
but what you're talking about is all the psychological stuff
Mhm.
behind the money. So some of my best clients, we have, let's say, in a in an hour-long meeting, once somebody has become a client, we're probably spending 60 to 70% talking about life. The
Mhm.
actual money part is like 10 to 15 minutes of the meeting. The rest is just getting or staying connected, learning about like what you're working on professionally.
What's
Because
important to them?
that's the key, right? The numbers is like 5 minutes we can get in and get out. The rest of it is just I'm building this relationship because I want to see you continue to flourish. So my fear for most people is they don't work with somebody. That somebody could be your best friend, your spouse. Just we're thinking that I can do it and figure it out on my own, which you can. But
It's just
again,
a lot harder.
you will get it done, maybe. And maybe in, a longer time than it should have been. And that's where I love using myself, is that once I figured out I needed to have a plan, I needed it to be able to explain that plan to a complete stranger or an elementary school kid. Like, that's how simple my plans are. Like, there are people who get highly technical
Yeah,
and
mine
dive
is
into the
simple.
weeds. I don't like the weeds. I want an open field where I can just frolic around and roll and not having to worry about getting through stuff. And then that's how I like to live. And when I wasn't at that point, it was, again, just stress that you're going through a day and you're thinking about things that you shouldn't have had you had a plan.
Mm-hmm.
And this definitely talks, this is also outside of even like finance, just in life in general. When
Mm-hmm.
you are keeping things simple and getting the results, like, you feel good about that and you keep doing it. You rinse and repeat. The financial piece is hard because nobody's ever told you it was important. They just told you, go work,
Nobody
have a job,
talked
do your
about it.
401k, look at your benefits, blink here, shoot there, taste this, try. I mean, all
Go wait a minute. Go home, eat, clean house, go to bed, and do it again and again. And hello.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, my plan is also, I mean, it's very simple. And my clients, that's the reason why I call it, it's a money roadmap, and it's a dashboard. And the
Mm-hmm.
reason why it's a dashboard is because I want it to be very simple, and I encompass
Mm-hmm.
not only your business, your personal, but I also, if they choose, but I encompass what your goals are. Like, you talk about what they're passionate about, what their goals are. Because here's the thing: if you're not having a plan that is involving what brings you joy and is aligned with your goals and your values, then you're not gonna do any of it anyway. And if you
Yeah.
do it, you're gonna again become very resentful.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think you said the key thing is it's finding what's most important to the person.
Mhm.
I think also as
Mhm.
practitioners, like, we know so much, and I have friends of mine, we all have, have licenses and designations, and people are like, well, what does all that mean? It means you passed the test. Whoop de doo. And then some people are obsessed with having alphabet soup after their
Well,
name.
thank you for saying that, because I don't have any of those. I mean, I'm a CFO and an accounting and have an accounting degree. However, I do not have any of the certifications. So I never, ever, ever do any of the quote unquote financial planning that y'all
Yeah.
can do, because I
Yeah.
don't have and people are like, but wait a minute, aren't you a financial planner? No, I do not have the certification. No. Because by law, you have to have certain certifications, do certain things in that
Exactly.
financial planning.
Yeah.
I am a fractional CFO, which is a financial officer, and I am if you want to call it a budgeting guru. You give me numbers, and baby, I can make them work.
Yeah.
You tell me what your goal, I can put them together and make them work, getting you where you want. And then when you start saying you want some other things, I have financial planners to refer you to. The point is having someone to actually help you get started.
Yeah.
I can help you with the budgeting, the money roadmap, and you know that psychological part with the brain of
Mm-hmm.
how you're thinking about money. Because again, we weren't taught any of that, right?
Nope.
I know
Nope.
I wasn't. Money wasn't talked about. I mean, that's the reason why I created Cash and Sass, is because I am tired of money being a taboo subject. We are in 2024. Taboo subject should be gone. 2025, it should be gone. And yet we
If it were
still
only
have it.
that easy, if it were only that easy, even I appreciate my bio. You just reminded me in my bio where I talk about disrupting generational poverty. Like, that's my thing. But I actually changed it recently because I realized some people don't have kids. And it just dawned on me that some people care about, charities and other things. And so I made a slight adjustment, and it was like, I want to help people disrupt generational poverty for their family. Like, everybody's got a family. You might not have kids, but you got a
But
family.
you got family. And,
And
and and it can also be for the world, because I mean, one of the things
that
I'm passionate about is breaking that cycle, not just for my family, but for other for the world, for so that we don't have that um tabooness and the lack of knowledge and that poverty. because we don't have to have it.
You must be a mind reader, because I added disrupt generational poverty for their family and community. And it was wild, because you just, I mean, that you have a family and you live someplace and there are people around you who you associate with. And that was the kicker for me, is that I got to make it broader. Like, everybody doesn't have kids. Some people just have fur babies or no babies. And I said, you know what? But everybody has a family, and they don't have to be blood related. And so I started thinking about
a lot of my family is not blood related.
Right.
but they're family.
They are. You got that right. And so part of helping people figure it out is, once you figured it out, you can then be of service to your family. So if your family has never talked about money, are you going to be courageous enough to start that conversation? Mm-hmm. It's hard. Yes, I know you said your family always struggled, or you were always, that's great. That was in the past. I'm trying to go forward. I know I can't control what I did yesterday or an hour ago, but if I care about something enough and I want to improve, am I also willing to do the work? And that's what I started finding in my journey, Lisa, as an advisor, as a coach, it was, I would find a lot of people who were interested, but who weren't willing to commit. I think.
Well, and I think the reason why a lot of people find a hard time to commit, or a hard place to commit, is they think it's going to be easy.
Yeah.
They think it should take a shorter term. Like, I have people I work with entrepreneurs. Okay.
Yep.
So I work with women entrepreneurs. And if they would like me to add their personal, then I work with their personal. But I don't work with just the families. I work with entrepreneurs, because my mission is for those entrepreneurs to be able to go out and change the world and impact families doing what they do, which is why I work with high achieving, heart centered women entrepreneurs, right? Because they're going to, and if they have that in order, then they're going to be able to then create, retain, and expand their wealth. And like you said, start ending that generational poverty, not just with their family, but also out in the world, because they're going to be making a difference. Yeah. And people think it's supposed to happen overnight.
They do.
And they think, oh, so this is, you can do this in one session. It's going to be cheap, not going to cost money. And I'm like, okay, if that's the way it worked, all of us would be there, and I'd be out of a job.
There you go. I would not be in this career field. I'm glad you said that, because, and here was I won't even call it a trick. It was just thinking about our language, because our language matters when you're talking about sensitive subjects. And so I would have people say, well, Jasper, you're too expensive, or I can't afford it. And I would always kind of say, well, what can you afford? Because I'm always willing I have a sliding scale, right? I want to try to help people out, but also understand my value and what I know I'm bringing to you in terms of value. So then I said, I want people to stop thinking about the cost. It is an investment. And that's how we got to think about how we invest in, I call it the money team. We all need a money team, right? You're the CFO, right? So there's other positions that are critical to the success of a business, but you need all of them. And so as an individual, you got to build a team around you. It may be one person to start out for a couple of years, and then you're going to branch out. But you essentially need to have all these smart people who do things well that you hate doing or are not that good at doing. And you make the investment so you can save some of your time, and you won't have all that stress.
Aggravation, your stress.
Keep on going. Yeah. And you just see an angry person. But to your point, one of my buddies said this, and it made perfect sense, because I do a lot of community work and I do a lot of stuff online. And, the information is generally free at this point. Like, there's all these platforms, there's so much free information, but the implementation is expensive. See, that's where we get people, right? The information is free. Here it is. Budget, invest here, do this, talk to. The implementation is where it gets expensive. And that's where we find people, or I find people, that, again, you were interested in doing better, but once it was time to show up and show out, we got a little scared, right? So it's, I want people to be courageous enough to try, and to try meaning just do something different. whatever you've been doing up to this point, getting lackluster
Do
or
one thing.
mediocre
Do one
result.
thing different. Do
That's
one
it.
thing different.
That's it. And that one thing could change generations in your family. Like that one thing, right? It could, I don't know what it is. I tend to not think that
Honest to goodness, it doesn't matter what it
it,
is,
thank you.
because if you change one thing, it's a proven fact, and you do it for, I think it's 21 days. So if you just change that
I
one
have it.
thing, so
I
I say
have it.
for
Yep.
1 month, it becomes a habit. And then
Mhm.
you're like, oh, I now have this extra money to do this. Okay. Now you go and change another thing. Now you make that's again, a broken record. You taking smaller steps is going to
Yeah.
get you to your bigger goal than you to all of a sudden go and I'm going to change everything right here in one swoop. And then when you go to implement, you're like, because you're getting
Yeah.
overwhelmed, you start freaking out, your mindset takes over. And here's the other thing that I had a coach actually say this to me a long time ago when I started my business, and I actually say it to some people now when they bring up the money, and I
Mhm.
go, and I'm like you, it's an investment, and they go, but it still costs. And that's okay. Well, think of it this way: what's more expensive?
Mhm.
What's going to cost you more? Doing nothing now, and I don't mean what's costing you more now. I mean costing you more in the long run. Doing nothing now, or investing in a financial planner, a CFO for 6 months, whatever, and taking care of it. How much money are you going to save, not just in that year, but 10 years down the road? Because now you have something put together, a plan
Mm.
together, specifically because everything that I have a generic dashboard that is
Mhm.
literally built for the person specifically. There are no two dashboards the same because
Yeah.
everybody is different. And Jasper said it. It has to be built for you. It has to be put together for you.
Yeah.
It has to be something that works for you. If it doesn't work for you, you're not going to do it.
It's not it.
So,
Yeah.
how much money would it save and stress would it save you for years and years to come to have someone to work with to help you put that plan together? And
Mm.
no one can say, "Oh, it'll I'll say more not doing anything," because the answer is you won't.
They won't.
It's going to cost you
I'm
more.
s- I'm so glad you said that because really it's the value we're bringing. That's why
Hmm.
you make the investment. And the value should be comparable to the investment that you're making. So if it's low cost, don't expect a lot. Like I think every time I do like a free session or a free anything, they're like, "Well, I wanted the whole." You don't get
You don't get the
everything for
whole thing.
free. Not for, where does that work in life? You don't go to so you don't go to your job and not expect to get a paycheck. And I had to start saying that to people for them to realize, like, I know that you're paying more for my brain than my products and solutions. You're paying for my
Hmm.
brain. You're paying for my ability to problem solve. Like, that's the value that you get by making said investment. And the one, you remind me of a story of I meet a lot of do-it-yourself investors. Now, mind you, I'm licensed to do securities. I understand the markets. I'm not a day trader by background, but I got a lot of smart people who think they're gonna, do better than me. And I'm like, great, just show me. But here's where I get them. They don't want to pay the management fee for me to manage the asset. Well, I can do it more affordable. You absolutely can. And then I say, so how much have you been getting creamed in taxes? So if it's a non-retirement account, I always bring up the tax question. Like, what do you mean? I'm like, so if you're doing all this buying and selling, those are transactions. You may have should have held onto the stock a little longer or the fund. Like, who's giving you tax strategy? And you can just see it in their face, like, got them. And it doesn't mean they're gonna become a client, but I can tell
But
that
still,
they're gonna walk away knowing that I wasn't trying to hard sell you on managing your assets. I just asked you a question that every um, uh, what's the word I want? Every prudent investor should understand the tax ramifications of their trading activity. That is the one I think I've been like holding on to most recently is because I'm just trying to enhance what you're doing. Whether that's a
and that's the
little
reason
bit
why I won't do it without somebody, because even though I've got the accounting background, I can't stand taxes, and those taxes change every single
every
year.
year.
By God, they make a different change, and I don't like changes.
So about 7 years ago, I said, I'm done. I'm not doing anything. Because I used to. I used to have things to do. I used to prepare the taxes. So I used to have all that knowledge. And I'm like, I'm done. You've changed. Literally, the year I quit was when they changed something on January the 13th before the thing was opening up. And it was that 1 year that they were making all these changes because I think it was a new president's year. I don't know, but they made all these changes and the Senate and all that. And anyway, it just nobody knew what they were going to be, right? So it was delayed before we could actually start. And then all of a sudden, all these changes come in and we're scurrying around, right? Trying to make sure now. I was like, I was like, you know what? I'm out. And so I know that I'm not, and there's tax implications depending on what you're doing, the selling and there's tax implications. And I've seen people get hit with it and they're like, why am I, doing this? Well, because this sold or whatever, and they're getting hit. And now all of a sudden, even though their business may not be making money personally wise, because they were hit with that tax, their estimated taxes have gone up for the following year. And they're like trying to figure out what in the hell. Having someone who actually knows those tax strategies, like, okay, look, I'm a CFO. I have the accounting background. I have a tax advisor.
Yep.
That's she is on my team, and she's on my team for a reason. Okay. Yep. And I'm going to have a financial planner. Again, that person's going to be on my team for a reason, because I'm not going to do anything to screw myself, because as far as I'm concerned, the government gets enough money. Now, if y'all want to give the government more money, and that's something you can also say. If you want to give them government more money, great, go. Have at it. However, if you're wanting to make sure that what you're doing is going to actually help you and not hurt you, and you're not giving more money to the government, you need somebody who knows their shit, because they're required to take continuing education classes on those things.
Sure am.
There's a reason why I stopped doing it, because of the last minute changes. And it didn't matter about the continuing education, because then you had to scrounge to get more info. And again, it just, and Jasper and the people that I talk to and my tax advisor, they love this stuff and they love knowing it and digging deeper into it. I mean, my tax advisor, when there was a last change, she said, give me 2 days and I'll be back. And she come back and she had, her brain was ready. And I'm like, okay, you're giving me a headache. But that's how she works. So there's a reason why she's on my team. And I think it's really, really important that what Jasper is saying, it just hits home. When you're doing the things that you're doing to create your wealth, investing, trading, whatever, make sure you've got someone who knows their shit on your team that can actually help you. Because I promise you, what you're paying them is going to be nothing compared to what you'd have to pay in taxes if it's not done right.
I'm so glad. I mean, I get this question a lot. Is like, Jasper, why should I hire you or work with you? And I used to have this, I've had a variety of answers throughout my career, but ultimately it boiled down to this one kind of statement or question: how do you measure or quantify your financial success or progress? And that question has stumped many of people, where they always pause. And if they try to make up some BS answer, I'm like, you don't know. It's okay to say I don't know, because you don't know what you don't know. And a lot of you don't know where you stand. So one of my tactics is I send people this document. I just want you to take inventory. Whether you work with me or some other professional, we're always going to ask you, what do you have right now? I can't just give you a solution if I don't know what the problem is. You don't go to your dentist and just say, drill on all of my teeth. You point to the tooth that hurts. It's this one. Right here. They can diagnose it and then help you create a course of action. The other analogy I had to use was, and this really came into play with the kind of the cost structure, the fees. They would say, well, how much is it going to cost? And I always say, I don't know, because I don't know you. And they're like, what? I can't just give you there's no menu. Like, where's your menu? That's not how I roll. And then they were like, what do you mean? I said, well, even if they're not a homeowner, they understand this analogy. When you have an issue at your house, let's say something gets, you're trying to remodel your kitchen. The contractor comes out, and let me know if I'm off base here. You call a contractor, they come to your house, they look around, ask you some questions, really assess what you're trying to do with your kitchen. And then they go home, they leave. And then they send you an estimate. Based on what you've shared with me, what you've shown me, I got an idea around what your budget might be. I can now give you an estimate. And some don't even care about your budget. They just say, here's my estimate because here's how much it's
They don't care about your budget. I was going to say, no contractor cares about your budget. Here's the estimate.
Right. So there's some who will take that into account, but most of them, no, here's what I'm worth. Here are the hours. And so I tend to think of myself as these contractors where I need to know a little bit more detail about your situation because I want to show you how much value I can bring. And sometimes that isn't even enough. And what happens, or when that does happen, I'm grateful that they shared with me some, personal stuff. But whether they work with me or not, I usually end it where I hope you do what's required to achieve your goals. And I just let it go because I know there are millions of other people that need me and it just wasn't the right fit or the right time for you. Mm-hmm. So I don't take it personal, but I stayed true to my process. And if people don't or aren't willing to go through a process, again, I'm going to wish you the best. Just report. But you know what's funny, Lisa? I'm not as petty as I used to be, but I used to be very petty as a younger advisor. I would follow up and say, so how's it going? I know you went with somebody else. I know you did it with somebody else, or you didn't call me back, or you ghosted me. But I would say, based on what you told me 2 years ago, you were going to do all this. Did it happen? And usually the answer is no.
Usually they don't go anywhere. And then that's the other thing too. It's like clients come to me and they're like, it's almost like, okay, I want you to fix my cash flow problem.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we need to go through this and this and do this. No, I just want to know what the cash flow problem is. Okay, again, it's the same thing you're talking about. And if there's any CFO who says this, I'm sorry, be wary. You can't fix something without knowing the information. Yeah. Your cash flow can't be fixed without knowing what revenue you've got coming in and what you're spending and where. Because a lot of times fixing your cash flow is finding leaks. And in order to find those leaks, we have to know, where the money's going. Yeah. Now, can we then help you fix those leaks and help you fix your cash flow? Absolutely. And sometimes it's going to be steps for you to take in order for that cash flow to get better. So therefore, in their eyes, we didn't fix it. But again, sometimes the fixing it is you taking these steps. That's the reason why a lot of CFOs want you to I require a year. Some require 6 months. We require a longer time because they're 9 out of 10 times it's going to be steps. Again, it's not something that's fixed overnight. And Jasper can't help you make the financial investments and same thing, create a financial plan, budget, whatever, without knowing the information. It's just not possible. And we have to know you. We have to, because the reason why we want to know you is because we want to know what's important to you. Agreed. Because if I know what's important to you, then I know what brings you joy. And in that, I know what you really want to save for. You could start talking about, oh, my dream is to go to a Hawaii vacation, or my dream is to take this or whatever. Okay, those are things I'm taking notes of. And even if it's I put it as a 5-year goal, I'm still putting it over here in your goals. Because if you have, you put a plan together to shoot for that, you're going to be able to get there, right?
Yeah. Well, you got me thinking about, it's a story I always tell about the frog and the boiling water. Have you heard that story? So if you, so there's a frog and there's a pot of boiling water. And so if you put the frog in the
pot boiling water, it's going to jump out.
Right. Now, if you put the frog in the water and slowly turn the heat up, it boils to death. And so when I think about that, and it's a gruesome analogy.
Heard that.
Yeah, but when I think about
I had somebody go, no, just put the lid on it. And I'm like, you're missing the point.
Yeah.
I My response is how stressful is it for you to hold
it down,
to hold it down the entire time that frog is jumping, and think about how much muscles you're using, how much effort, and how much stress. And they go, oh, a lot. Okay, so wouldn't it be easier to start in cold water and just gradually turn it up?
Yeah, I think about people in their situations. It's not bad enough. It's not to the point where,
unfortunately,
that's what scares me, but that's also what encourages me to keep pushing, which I'm sure is you see the person who needed you yesterday and they can't get out of their way. So you asked me this question.
They can't get out of their head. They can't get out of their head.
You asked me this question when we first got on. You said, well, how did my plan help me?
Yes.
I received clarity and I'm able to say no. Those are the two things that my financial plan did for me, and that it does for any client that I've helped in whatever capacity. They have clarity about the whole situation or whatever piece I was able to support them on, but they also are able to make decisions better. And I never judge people, like you said. They're just decisions. They're good ones, they're bad ones. There's consequences for every decision. It's just, are we understanding how a lot of quote unquote bad decisions results in where you are today, or ill-informed. Some people just didn't know, and you've bought solutions, but you never got to the root cause. See, I'm trying to get to the roots. See, we just keep buying stuff and getting some result, buying stuff, getting okay results, buying stuff, getting a great result,
on it.
Buying stuff. That's all versus let's just take a step back and pause. Let's start from the very beginning. When did this start? And when I ask that question, I mean, people tear up, and I'm just sitting there like, this is the first time you've ever told somebody about this issue that has now resulted in you being a poor manager of your own money. And that is where people are like, man, I'm like, you see what it's like? And I can do that in 30 minutes tops. Like, just tell me where it hurts. What happened? Why'd you come? What is it you're looking to get done? And it's hard for people sometimes to share that in that initial consultation, but it's like the sooner you open up, the information and the support you need will flow in. But we're so closed off. I don't want anybody to know, my pride, my ego.
I think that's, but I also think that that's because people fear being judged.
Of course.
Because how often in the past has financial planners or CFOs or whoever,
they still do.
Next door neighbors, still do.
They still
judge when someone comes in and they judge them. And I'm not going to name names, but we still have big, huge gurus that
won't talk to you.
Judge all the time.
Yep.
And they do it on social media and,
and on stage. And on stage. Yep.
Yes. Don't go into debt, yet they leverage debt. I have so many issues with that.
I already know who you're talking about.
Yeah, I know. You know exactly who I'm talking about. And so the point to that is that one of the things I tell people and I stress, there is no judgment. Yeah. Because look, I've been there, okay? Chapter 7 bankruptcy, 2 foreclosures, and more vehicle repossessions than I can probably count. Not that many. And there were still a lot in my 51 years. So, and I've rebuilt my credit 3 times. Okay. Yep. And now 2 years ago, for the first time, I pre-qualified for a vehicle. Okay. So that's right before I've turned 50, by the way, if you're doing math. Okay, because I just said I was 51. So right before I pre-qualified for a vehicle for the first time in my entire life at the lowest interest rate ever. And I'm talking about like right below 6, which I still think I won the lottery. Okay, that's because I finally opened up to someone, got the help I needed, and then started doing the work. And my clients are doing the same thing. And Jasper's clients are doing the same thing. And he's doing the same thing. If you're going to go to someone, if they start judging you, my advice, get up and walk out.
Yep.
Because in my opinion, they're not going to help you anyway. They're just going to make you feel worse, and you're going to feel like you're not doing anything well enough. You need someone who's going to listen to you and then offer assistance and support and advice on building something that works for you. And I think that's just the biggest difference. And I know Jasper will agree with me. So I don't go on my temper tantrum.
That's all good. I know,
podium.
but at least, you know what? I know I'm not alone. I think for me, I think in my, 16 years of experience, like there's just nothing that shocks me anymore. And I think that's, to my credit, it's most people have the same few issues. Like there aren't any
that's
new
what
issues.
I say. I was like, you can't tell me anything that's just going to make me go, ah.
Right. Yeah.
There's nothing that you can say that I haven't seen or hasn't happened or I haven't, you're not going to shock me. And therefore, I'm also not going to judge you. And I think Jasper will say the same thing. And this is one of the things we talked about. We both walk our talk, right? We both make sure that what we are teaching is something we do have done and do ourselves, because I think that's truly important, because I'm not going to tell you to do something if I haven't tried it or done it myself. Now, I may suggest you do it slightly differently because you are a different person and it'll work better for you doing it differently. However, I'm not going to, tell you cut out all your Starbucks coffee, right? Now, I don't drink coffee. I don't drink Starbucks. So therefore, but I'm not going to tell you to cut it out. If I'm not willing, I'm not going to cut out all my sweet tea. I'm from the South. I got news for you.
Same here.
It ain't happening.
Same here.
Yep. I cut it back, but I don't cut it out. So there's just a big difference, and I think that's really important. Jasper, you have a free gift for my listeners, and I hope that people who resonate, especially families, if you're doing, please reach out to him and get the information and just get the help, because I promise you the money you're going to save in the long run is going to be so much better. But will you please tell my listeners what the free gift is?
Yeah. I just want you to spend a half hour with me having a conversation about what you want to accomplish next on your financial journey. That's it. If you decide not to work with me, that's cool. If you have people you're already working with, that's great. But I just want people to get some questions answered that they haven't at this point. And we've all got them. Like, you've been thinking about getting ready to get ready. Let's just, let's have that talk. And again, it's only a half hour, but you'd be surprised how much work we can get done in terms of helping you to move forward. And it may be just one simple thing that you could do that could just alter your entire plan for the better. But that is my offer to your listeners, to your followers, to your network, is if you needed a resource to talk with, I too am like you. I don't judge, because the rest of the world will do that. I don't need to give that energy to you. I just want to listen and see if I can be of service to you.
Yeah, because you want to make a difference, and that's the big big thing. On that note, thank you, Jasper, so much for being here and being a guest on my show. And to my listeners, you know the saying. Until next time, stay sassy. Bye.
Thanks for joining us this week on Cash and Sass. Check us out on social media and on our website at www.thesassywealthcoach.com, where you can download my free Money Story Start Guide. The website again is www.thesassywealthcoach.com. And as always, subscribe to the show to catch every new episode and leave us a review so we can continue to bring you fresh content. And remember, yes, it is possible to have sassy and sexy money. See you next week.